It's another episode of CrossDoc. This is actually our SoCalCross season opener. We're here at Verdugo Park in Glendale, and it's going to be fun. The deciding factor is going to be the heat today. It's probably 90 degrees and pretty humid. So things like staying hydrated, making sure you pace yourself, not going into the red too soon. I think these are all tips that are going to be helpful today. Let's do this thing. In this episode of CrossDoc, I'll take you through the opening lap of Autumn Cross, race number 1 in our SoCalCross series. The key word for this episode is balance. Cyclocross is an exercise in balance, both tactically and physically, and this plays out over the course of the entire race. Take the start for instance. I had a front row start and I didn't want to waste it, but I had to balance starting fast with blowing myself up. A good rule of thumb, the closer it is to the first bottleneck feature, the quicker you should explode off the line. The course started wide and grassy, so I felt the first bottleneck would likely be at the barriers. Because of this, I started a little conservative. Down the stretch, I was sitting right about 10th. With multiple lines into the barriers, I went wide left in order to approach the barriers in a straight line. It's potentially faster, but it does open you up to getting past inside on the right. Someone does try to pass and bumps me as I go over the first barrier. You have to balance the fast line with possibly getting past. Corners are also about balance. Balancing distance, which you want less of, and traction, which you want more of. I don't always like following the sheep line, but sometimes it's burned in and these little berms start forming. These can be used to your advantage. Off-camber sections really force you to balance. In this corner, the high line is shorter and has more traction, but my angle of entry is too sharp and momentum forces me to drift down the hill. You can see a lot of people did this too, as the right side is tore up and loose. We're approaching the run-up. Carrying your bike involves balancing, speed, and smoothness. Here I chose to shoulder my bike. The ground wasn't that smooth to push the bike up, and it was kind of steep. Shouldering ensured that my bike cleared any obstacles on the ground. Remember how you balance speed and traction in corners? I went for traction, but that opened myself up for a pass on the inside. Sometimes it's worth it to take a crappier line if you can make a pass or set yourself up better for the next section. Like how this rider on the Kona got ahead of me right before the little drop. That's smart racing. I actually heard some people ran down, which might be overall better for some. Risk and reward is another thing you have to balance. Even though I've raced conservative up to this point, I'm still able to maintain contact with the lead group when they slow down through corners and technical sections. This gave me some room to pick my own lines. But it also meant that I was not near the front when the action starts to heat up. I take a slower line through the sand, and the lead group starts accelerating away from me. Racing is also about balancing your position in a group. Being in the front is harder, but you have clean lines. Being in the middle forces you to follow, but you can respond when you need to. And being in the back can be more efficient, but then there's a yo-yo effect in corners, and all it takes is one mistake, and you're unhitched. As we approach the end of lap 1, it was my turn to take a slower line that actually allowed me to stay ahead of a rider and maintain my spot. Well, 1 lap down. This was a hard race that got close to 50 minutes. We ended up doing 7 laps, and I was 14 seconds behind 5th. So if you think about it, saving 2 seconds per lap was the difference between a podium and being off the box. The little things really do matter. I can definitely work on accelerating to stay within the group, but I did get a 6th place, which I'll take. Thanks for watching another episode of CrossDoc. Stay balanced in your racing and training. Check out the blog at crossdoc.wordpress.com, and I hope to see you out at the races.